Happy Friday, everybody. I've been gone for a little bit of time. I got no excuse. I've been gaming and traveling and just kind of sitting, letting the market creep up. But I made a big move this week. I won't bury the lead. I went a big portion to cash. Now, that's not because I have some kind of FUD to share with you. So it's a personal thing, personal reason. But, sometimes the best thing to do in markets to let assets appreciate is to do nothing. But I'll get into why I did it here in a little bit because there is a bit of an opinion about it. And I'll talk about what I sold. Hint, it's the thing that everyone thinks is going to go be the next thing, usually as it is. Yeah, frees me up for an opportunity. But we'll get into that in just a minute. After the music. And yeah, we'll go with some royalty-free AI cash music. Be right back after the music.
I walk the line through Wall Street's road. Bulls were charging, bears kept score. Gold's a glimmer, oil's a stain. The market's heart beats joy and pain. Up and down the numbers dance, risk it all for just a chance. Futures call, but they don't last. The game's a fire burning fast. The crypto kids, they're rolling dice. A digital dream, but it melts like ice. The bonds they whisper, steady and slow. But greed's a river, it'll overflow. Margins rise and margins fall. You think you've got it all. Up and down the numbers dance, risk it all for just a chance. Futures call, but they don't last. The game's a fire burning fast. Commodities hum in the earth's old tongue. Corn and copper, they've just begun. Indexes climb, then tumble down. A roller coaster in every town.
All right, guys and gal. Statistically, 0.1% of those that watch. Hope you had a good couple of weeks that I've been away. I've been checking in on the market a little bit. It's just been going up. All right. But I wanted to kind of do a little quick recap of all the stocks from the year, as well as look at any potential opportunities that I may be missing. Just do it to kind of check in with everybody and the market itself. Do my due diligence. I won't get too evasive about it. The reason I went to cash was because I kind of want to buy a house here in the near future, in the next year or so, and I want to pay cash for it. But there is also sort of, I don't know. Look, here's what, as I've said the last couple of weeks, when you have a situation like this, I've been doing this for many, many, many years. You're only going to have basically one of two things. You're going to have a slow grind up, which is exactly what I said about a month ago, last time I did stream. What I did was the last stream that I did. Let's see. Let me look and see. I mean, it's basically you're just going to get a slow grind up. And so you just need to be in stocks, maybe crypto, but not quite. I mean, crypto kind of had its pump. We're going to look at that in just a second. Definitely got to look at Bitcoin. Oh, we definitely have to look at Bitcoin because Woo, man. You guys know my Ichimoku cloud strategy that I talk about. I mean, that's what I got up right now is Ichimoku, but um, I was watching it last Wednesday, and I thought for a minute that Bitcoin was actually going to, also I say prove me wrong, but it was about to break my bearish call that I made over a month ago when it first got outside the cloud. Yeah, so let's bring that up real quick. So we got to definitely look at that. Um, I think it's been cooked. Although I did hear an interesting rumor today that a friend of mine shared to me. I don't know if you're watching that now. Can you share that in the chat? Whatever it was that you found something about the Russians buying a bunch. What's up? What's up? Outshine skeptic. What are you skeptical about? I'm a skeptic too. Let me get that. Like pop out that chat over here. Boom. All right. But yeah, like, so Thursday, September the 18th, that's right about here. You had price get outside the cloud, and the momentum, which is the Chicago purple line, which is on TradingView they call it the lagging span, that almost got out bullish. Now, just as a quick recap, whenever you have both things happen, whenever you have price and momentum on the bullish or bearish side of the cloud, that is when you have a confirmed Ichimoku trend. It's very simple. And forget all the other lines. Just focus on that for right now. And we had this set up back on August the 25th, a good month ago. A month ago, I made the call that the trend on Bitcoin had flipped to the bearish side because both those things were true. Now, it had been bullish all the way since it had gone bullish here in April. And there you have both happen at the same time. Boom. That starts a bullish trend. You know, and price can pull back into the cloud, but notice how it didn't go on the other side of it. And momentum was pretty nice and solidly on the other side. Now, what this does is it combines price and time in a way that really fits with human emotion as time goes along. Because in order for something to really flip from bullish to bearish, emotions take time to sort of wash out. And I got to admit, another reason I didn't want to do live stream the past couple of weeks, I've been kind of numb with a little bit of anger about some current events here in the States that I'm not going to go into. But I feel a lot better now this week, and that's because time sort of flows through us, and we as humans are the market. And so what you've had, and I remember very specifically looking here on Bitcoin with this when it did this last all-time high, which by the way, if we go to the weekly, and this was another call that it's one of the most consistent signals, I have to say, is when you have a failure at an all-time high. Very simple, very simple. You have one all-time high or any major high, and then you have a spike above that high, but it can't follow through. It can't push up and make a nice big green bar to hold that high. That is a bearish signal. And incidentally, that's another thing. The other thing that I like to look at is 50% levels. And so not only that, but you had a retracement from that, came up, held the 50%. This is a weekly now, by the way. And well, this week's been pretty bearish for it as well. But the things that happened in order were you had the false breakout of the all-time high. You had the Ichimoku bullish trend flip to bearish here. And yeah, you had a little bit of consolidation, and people on my Discord were pinging me, be like, oh, it's going up, it's going up. Yeah, I even had someone taunt me like, haha, Bitcoin's proving you wrong. Well, it's not about me being wrong. These are just signals that I've done research on for the last, I don't know what, since 2012, 2011, 2012, since I've been in Bitcoin. Like this signal, these two signals, looking for false breakouts and the Ichimoku cloud breakout, have been incredibly consistent. Now it's on the daily. Now, if you're trying to day trade it, you're going to have a little bit less results. But the only thing I can't really account for when talking about this is taxes, and that's a valid criticism. Like, oh, if I sell, you have to pay taxes on it. Well, it depends on whatever jurisdiction you're in, of course. I can't really answer that, but this consistently has worked over the years. Now, it's not giving you like YOLO 2x gains, but you would have a good multiple of Bitcoin if you had followed this over the years. Because what it does is it gets you out in the bear cycles. Now, it could chop around. Anything can happen. One of my favorite books, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. It basically every single chapter talks about anything can happen. I mean, it could consolidate and trip you out. But I mean, really, if we zoom in and look, if it gets out again, it's free lane to the bear side. Okay. Let me check chat real quick. By the way, if you have, yeah, give me the link. Give me the link. I'd love to share the YOLO FOMO stuff. Link it to me, please. Of why people think that Bitcoin is going to moon from here. Guys, it's been mooning for 2.5 years. Like the last bear bottom was November of 2022. Oh, wait, that's almost 3 years. And the maximum number was at 36 months of any cycle. Oh, but the cycle doesn't apply anymore because reasons. Okay, maybe. But I mean, we'll see. But I mean, what more do you want? I know the answer. The answer is 1 million Bitcoin, obviously. $1 million. $1 billion Bitcoin. You got to do things when people think that it's garbage. I mean, speaking of thinking things are garbage, let's just check in on Monero. How's Monero doing? Pretty well recovered. Now, I gotta admit, I gotta be honest. This made me nervous because I haven't been trying to do anything. I guess I have been trying to convince people to value Monero because it's a privacy-centric cryptocurrency. It's the only one I really actually care about. Like I actually think deserves to exist is, I mean, maybe smart contract stuff. We'll see. We'll see if somebody can find a use for smart contracts. It's not just like doing JPEGs, but private money, people being able to transact with each other without being seen, without censorship. I mean, this is why I got into Bitcoin over a decade ago. And Monero is the only one that I think really matters. And I did several live streams about what was going on in these weeks. I even did a talk about what was going on here last month in August. And I was nervous. I honestly didn't have anything good and positive to say about Monero because I was believing all the FUD. And it was fun. I mean, especially just to kind of recap on that, they were able to, the Qubit people were able to do these multi-block reorgs, which means that they were doing selfish mining, which means that it's like if you had someone was mining for gold and they go out into the mountains, everybody goes out in the mountains and somebody finds a stream of gold. They're not going to necessarily yell and tell everybody, hey, I found gold over here. So they're selfishly mining it themselves for a while. And then when people find it, they come in, sort of an analogy there, but they, at the end of the day, without controlling the whole network, because it's all based on probability, they were able to do these scary roll-ups of the blockchain. But it didn't really change anything. The whole time, I tried to do some transactions. They went through. It wasn't all FUD. I mean, there was some technical potential problems there. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. And it's pretty much recovered the price. And why I say that, I'm a victim of my own being part of the market. Did I go jump in at, I bought more at 250 because that's where I wanted. That's basically where the guy from Cubic said that he would stop the attack, even though they didn't. But it went lower, and I obviously didn't panic sell because I don't do that. But I mean, that would have been the moment now in hindsight that, oh, you go all in. But that's not apparent at the moment. That's what you got to understand is that it's not apparent when you look at a chart like this. Like we have to pretend that we don't know what happens. We have to just see this and be in that moment and I was doing this, researching, trying to get as much information as you can and reading all these sources and all these opinions. And you're just hearing all this bad, and it's reflected in the price. But that is actual opportunity. That's opportunity. When everything looks horrible, horrible, horrible. And the inverse is true. When everybody's talking about uh, interest rates going to start a bullish trend. Oh yeah, you remember that? Yeah, we had an interest rate drop. Did did, did you guys feel it? Can you show me on the chart where the interest rate drop touched you? Was it last Wednesday? I mean, what essentially, or is the interest rate things Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday? Hold on. Yeah, it was there, and yeah, you got a little blow off top here. But are you going to get another rate cut? What does the market expect? What is the market going to be bought up to in expectation of? It's not what's about to happen that people know. It's what people are speculating on. So I yeah, things are just going really, really good. And I really know better. Like I said, the best thing you can do is just own assets and not sell them. But the reason I went to cash was because I want to buy a house here in the next couple of years. Less than 2 years, less than 2 years. And yeah, I wanted to, but it's also a really good time. And what did I sell? I sold tech. Oh no, but tech, but AI, but that's gonna be exactly. That's reflected in the price. I mean, one of the biggest holdings I have that I've owned since 2009 is Google. Now I kind of like it, but it's also, and by the way, it was about Monday or Tuesday. It was like Friday through Monday. I was doing these sales, and so um, I'm not just saying that because that's the high. I mean, it was basically into this week, so Friday and Monday. And you know what? Here's the thing: next week it could very well be up here. I'll be like, oh no, no, I'm not gonna be worried about it because remember, I'm selling it for a different reason. I'm not making a judgment call. I kind of am. It's just a really good time. It's just a really good time. Um, I've also been very interested in looking at the housing market. I feel like I need to talk about that a little bit too because that's been on my mind. That's what I'm looking at. I put an offer in on a house actually last week, and it got snapped up. I mean, it was a really cool house, and that's kind of like a little quirk about real estate right now, as a matter of fact. But before I start rambling about that, still waiting for that link, Cocos. Yeah, put in your symbols to the chat that you want to look at. I'm here. I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. I'm taking a break to come hang out with you guys and look at some opportunities and give some opinions. But I had a friend of mine hit me up today asking me about CRV. That's his favorite cryptocurrency, and I'm like, he's like, what signal is this? What pattern is this right here? And I'm like, dude, there's no pattern there. I mean, I can draw you a little wedge if you want, but basically you just got something that's going nowhere, and it's gonna really, really aggravate you. But yeah, let's go a quick thing while people are putting stuff in the chat right here. What's up, Anna? Long time no see. Yeah. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while. Let's just go through a couple things, and I want to look at some real estate and whatever you guys want to look at as well. But just to kind of recap, what am I looking for? Well, we had a little drawdown this week, obviously from Monday, all-time high, woo, on the stock market, and then sold off, and today you had a little bit of recovery. Where did this recover to? It beat the 50%. And so I would say that probably coming into next week, we're going to have to see what happens. Are we going to make a run for the all-time high again on the market? And if so, will it break or hold it? Dude, if it does a false breakout, then I'm going to have to like actually sit down and start trading again, like futures, because I can't not trade a false breakout like what happened. And, again, going back to, Bitcoin false breakouts being just a consistent, oh my God, they're such a good tool. False breakout, false breakout, false breakout. That was actually a false breakout here because notice how, just draw a line at the last all-time high of anything, okay? and then watch and see that candlestick right there. I don't do candlestick patterns, but just false breakout, false breakout, false breakout. Just that is your most consistent signal of a pullback because you just don't have that strength. Like you need that big green. See, this is what a breakout looks like. See this big green dildo bar right here? Right there, right there. Yeah, that's the candlestick pattern I look for, dildo bars. Exactly. So when you see that, you got to break out. But if you don't see that, watch out. Watch out. But I mean, look, if we go on the daily, I'm jumping around now because I got some really strong coffee actually, because I wanted to make sure and actually I've been getting some good exercise too. I haven't just been sitting around and doing nothing. Um, but yeah, so here's the other thing. Think about this in terms of Ichimoku. Okay, the daily is important. The daily trend is important. And it's fired off bearish back here in August. Now it's back again. It never stopped being bearish, by the way. It just barely almost got out, but no dice. But here's the thing. Why is it not just going flat out bearish? Why are we not crashing? Why are people just not like throwing? Well, first of all, there's no narrative. Usually when you have some kind of a crash, it was like, the FTX debacle. It was the raising of interest rates. There's usually something going on in the world that people can look at and say like, oh, that's the reason. The technicals always precede the reason. That's why I use them. It's because looking like that false breakout, like people, okay, let's just say that we come down and we're back below 100 here, at the end of the month or in October. There's going to be some news article about this, probably has something to do with this, this knots versus core drama that's going on, which I'm not smart enough or care enough about Bitcoin to really understand what's going on. The basic thing is you have two competing, if I understand it correctly, mining algorithms, like two different, you've got the Bitcoin core developers that have made this thing that allows op return, which is, stuff you can put inside a Bitcoin transaction to be, I think, either unlimited or bigger, to generate more fees for miners, because miners are not profitable because fees are at record lows, or not record lows, I'm going to say that. They're very, very low because nobody's actually using Bitcoin. Because all the Bitcoin stuff has been done by ETFs. It's been done on Lightning. Nobody's actually using the Bitcoin network anymore. So you're not generating enough fees for miners to offset the cost of all the electricity that they're being used, as well as their capital investments in their hardware. Because the price that they get for mining, while it's $110,000 a Bitcoin, is still not enough to cover those electricity costs by itself. And that's a problem for them. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to open up the market for miners to make more money. So that's one side. And then the other side are people that want to, keep Bitcoin pure and keep it from free of spam and keep the blockchain from getting too big. It's very, very political. Okay. And I have all my Bitcoin chats right now are just 100 unread messages of them arguing over this. Okay. But let's just say in a month from now, Bitcoin is below 100K. It's getting to 90, that kind of stuff. If it's bearish, anything can happen. That's what they're going to say. Bitcoin down on debate over knots and but guys, if you're sitting here looking at this with me, you can see that you could have known that was going to happen by just looking at how it handled the last all-time high in August. You didn't have a big green dildo bar. You remember the dildo bar, the dildo candlestick pattern? You didn't have that to trigger a bullish breakthrough. Instead, you had a false breakout. And that's why you're there wherever you are then. But they're going to be saying it's because the other reason, because that's a lot more fun to write about and talk about. Because again, this is just astrology for men after all, right? So anyway, why is it not going in? Well, like I said, emotions take time to develop. Negative emotions, strong emotions, positive or negative, they happen very quickly. And so you see big price movements. But to invert to a whole different emotional state, and we're talking because ultimately the markets are a collection of all humans and their emotions together. And price is the reflection of what everyone thinks something is worth. And that changes based on emotion. That's why Bitcoin's never, or anything, Bitcoin, Tesla, which we'll look at here in just a minute, any stock, gold, which by the way, Peter Schiff's pretty happy about gold. Yes, we'll look at silver too. Anything is based on what people value it as. And that value is an emotion. It's not quantifiable. It's what people feel. It's what people think, but it's mainly what people feel. And so that's reflected in price. But what you need, and that's why I think Ichimoku really outshines, is because it incorporates time and price as well. Because it takes time to get through the cloud, to get on the other side of it. So that's why I think it becomes so useful when really assessing trends. All right. Because what you have here on the weekly of Bitcoin is you still have a bullish trend. It's still above the cloud. Momentum is still strong, and it has been for a very long time. It's been since October 2023. And you're not going to get a crash scenario or a bear market scenario until you're on the bear side of the weekly as well. Now, the problem with doing that as a trader is that takes a long time. That takes a long time to develop. If we go back and we look at the last situation, that instance didn't occur until about April of 2022. Now, notice again, price, momentum, same thing, same deal. And then you had this that took us all the way down to the FTX crash, which is sort of the blowout bottom. But if we go back and we look at where this actually triggered on the daily, we can see that that was very, very late in the trend. Like that was, I mean, the bearish trend of the last bear cycle began here, Sunday, December 5th, actually, excuse me, Saturday. But actually, you know what this was? This was the Friday jobs report that came out the day before that signaled to the market that the Fed was going to start raising rates because the employment numbers were good. No one at the time that I talked to in my Bitcoin chats wanted to care about that because nobody wanted to listen that interest rates, that Bitcoin was interest rate sensitive. But you see it in this giant flush crash. Somebody sold. A lot of people sold, actually. But notice how price and momentum got bearish, and that triggered the trend. But you didn't really have the confirmation on the weekly until December to May. So for almost 6 months or 5 months. So you can't trade on the weekly because then you're already halfway to the bottom. So that doesn't work. So you gotta make a judgment call on the daily. All right. Now, that being said, once you do get to the weekly side of things, and I can sort of intuit this, but let me kind of explain like where my mind goes because I've seen so many Ichimoku charts. So you can kind of see that as price develops, like this is a weekly again still, as you have a big bullish trend, to get this thing bearish, you would need a big, big move, okay? So it didn't happen, even though you had some daily breakouts there. Obviously, back in April of this year, remember, was the last one. And there was a daily breakout in here, and then it sort of went bullish here. So it's kind of like break even, okay? But to have gotten it all the way bearish, you would have needed Bitcoin to come down and time to pass to get, remember, it's a combination of time and price. Time would have had to bring it all the way out to here. So it would have been July of this year at 60K, and then it would have been full on bearish, but it didn't. That's a lot to ask for. And we're in that situation now where you have a big, thick Ichimoku cloud ahead of us in time going out into next year, I think out to March of 2026. Believe it or not, we're coming up on it. That's just a few months away. Time. Oh, time. One of those four fundamental forces of the universe that is very well observed, but everyone is incredibly surprised to see that it goes as fast as it does. But where it would actually get in the full on, oh crap scenario is into the 70s, basically. Right. And that would take quite a while. Okay. And as always, whenever you're looking for the next bear cycle, and again, that's the thing that you have to look for. Just always be looking for something when people are thinking it's dead. Remember we were talking about Monero? There was a reason. Oh, someone's attacking the network. That it tanked to what now, in hindsight, was a great buy. There will be some reasons that they are putting out there for why the price is low. And I don't know what they're going to be. They're not going to be the same as last time. It's not going to be an exchange crash. I'll tell you that right now. That's what a lot of people say and think. They think, oh, what's going to be another FTX? No, it's just like we haven't seen another housing crash since 2008. It's just like generals are always fighting the last war. People are always hedging against the last crash. So I don't know what it will be. Could be any number of things. But one of my big positions remains MicroStrategy short, and like always, I think that Magic Internet Money Ponzi Company is cooked. So, all right, let's look at some stuff. Let's look at your stuff right here. And I'll go through all mine. I've had some questions about Whirlpool. What's Whirlpool doing? Whirlpool is back at break even, but it's a dividend play. Actually, it's less of a dividend play. You know what? We're just going to leave that alone. That was not one of the things I sold. The big thing I sold was Google. I had large tech ETFs. I actually didn't touch my NVIDIA. I left it alone, believe it or not. I'll be a little bit of a degen there. I do think NVIDIA is good to hold, but Google, they're just kind of falling behind. But you know what? Look, no value judgments. It was actually just tech and Google had just become like 40% of my whole portfolio. So yeah, it was good to do. All right. So let's see. Intel did not cut. I have been holding on to Intel, like I think a lot of you, since December, I think what it was. It was around 20. 20 is the number I have in my head that I've owned this since. It was basically when we had probably on the weekly. Yeah. What I do when something tanks like this is, no, actually it was 2170 essentially, because what I like to do in these cases, we'll take Ichimoku off, is I like to wait and catch it on the upswing, get that so I'm not catching a falling knife on that Tinkinson, the red line, which is the 9 period, 50%. So if you go back and look at this, it looked like a great trade, like, oh yeah, I caught it on the upswing. This for you, Coffee. So it's for everyone. I mean, if you've been watching the stream for years now, so I've been doing this for like several years actually now. So yeah, so this right here was the setup. Okay, had earnings, touch and go. Yeah, it looks like a good trade, doesn't it? Oh yeah, we're getting good, but boy, oh crap. But through this whole thing, it didn't break that low. Had a little spike of it, notice right there. See, again, remember false breakouts? I mean, that was scary. April of this year, which actually, if you think about it in percentage terms, the whole market was crashing, and they managed to I didn't notice it at the time, because when I'm trying to hodl something, I try not to look at it and obsess about it. That's like the best thing to do. But I think I probably noted it at the time, but I didn't want to add to my position because, throwing good money after bad. But just note this again. Bitcoin's false breakout to the upside. This false breakout to the downside. Here, let's zoom this in so we can see it right here. Okay, so this was April. This was when, Trump was going to kill the world economy. Boom, false breakout at 1851. This is a weekly, by the way. Full weekly. All you got to do is check in once a week. But you had a false breakout of the low. In other words, intra-week, at some point in that week, price went down and made everyone think that it was going to tank, and it didn't. By the end of the week, you closed for a green bar, and you didn't have an immediate reversal, but that was a good sign. That was a good sign. But either way, like I said, I've been trying not to look at it that much for a year almost. And then finally, you started getting some good news. And hey, so what do I think about it? I'm going to do the same thing I have been doing. I'm going to hodl it. I got a friend of mine that's a lot smarter than me. Guy used to work for, Georgia Tech. He did DoD projects. He could build a nuclear bomb if he was that kind of guy, but fortunately he's not. He's working on AI, and I'm not talking about LLMs. He's trying to build a fish. Like literally, he's trying to make a fish. He said, I'm not going to try to make a human brain. Now, nor am I going to try to make a cat. Insects have already been kind of done. People can already like program insects. That's already done. He's trying to program a fish brain, animatronic fish, literally. That's what he's working on right now. Good luck, buddy. And way smarter guy. Anyway, that's my intel source because he started going off about all the research and development they're doing, which the problem with processors, as he explained to me, was that they have a 5-year product cycle where, it's not like a quarterly cycle like most businesses want. So it's that it could take half a decade for them to actually get to market what they're working on. But he's like, yeah, man, I own a bunch of the stock. It's been going down, but I really like what they're working on. So I'm just going to hang on to it. And I was like, you know what? It's good enough DD for me. And so when it tanked back last year, I waited for the technical setup and I've been hanging out since then. So the answer on Intel is, when you look in on Yahoo Finance or, on the news or whatever, they have like, buy and sell and hold rating. I don't know what the hell those things mean, but Intel is a same thing it has been for the last year, a hold. Now, if one were so inclined to trade it, which, to be fair, there have been a lot of these 50% pullbacks this year, which I've caught bottoms like on Dollar General, Whirlpool, pretty much everything has pulled back to its 50% retracement. And if one were a trader and wanted to pay short-term cap gains on it, then one would take profit. So if one were so inclined, they could take profit here at 35.31 because this is the 50% retracement back up for the big move down from quarter four, or actually January of 2024. Okay. But I'm not. I'm going to hodl this because, damn it, I waited a year for this and I'm going to get paid. So that's Intel. Let's go back and look at some of these. All right, Roblox. So a couple weeks ago, I wanted to short Roblox because I wanted to. I kind of was reading the FUD about it. All the predators that were on the platform. Yeah, okay. So I wouldn't have made any money. Looks bullish to me. It recaptured its 50% there at 131 and it's holding it. At least you know where the support is. So now it needs to hold there. Okay. Now you need to come up and you need to give yourself a big green dildo, like we talk about, big green dildo bar, to go bullish. But if we get back in here, it's getting a little wonky because you can either consolidate or you can go down. So needs to hold here at this support, but it looks bullish. It looks bullish. Pretty bullish. Pretty bullish. Sometimes you can use Ichimoku on stocks, not nearly as good as the daily on Bitcoin. But if we look here, it gives us a pretty clear definition of when this thing flips to the bearish side. So same thing. If Jim, if you get down to here, that's going to get your momentum down as well. So yeah. Palantir was one thing I sold. And it's been quite a winner. It's been hard because, like, again, like, you see my mug, like, you can't mix politics with trading and investing. You just can't. And that's why I will never talk about politics directly on here. It doesn't matter who the president is. Doesn't matter who's in power. Doesn't matter who's in Congress. Assets will appreciate and they will depreciate. Doesn't matter as much as people say it is. I say that, but then I'm looking at, what they do. They basically sell government surveillance programs, and I'm like, and so yeah, I took some profit on that, but I held some too. I sat there and looked at it. I was kind of like, I don't want to own this anymore, but it just keeps on making me money. Morals, they're too expensive. Anyway, Kroger. Yeah, sure, Jeremiah. We'll look at DJT. All right, let's look through them. Kroger's pulled back to the cloud right here. That's actually a good thing, Jen. Believe it or not, if I was looking to put some cash in some consumer staples, that's a good pullback. Top of the cloud on the daily, along with lows right here. That's actually a pretty decent pullback. However, that is in conflict with what it has done, which is actually multiple false breakouts. Nah, I think we'll hang on. Wait, I'm going to wait. Yeah, false breakouts, by the way, on the monthly. You can see it a little bit easier if you zoom up to the monthly. False breakouts on Kroger. That's what ended it, basically. This astrology for men. What I want to see, first and foremost, before I do any buying of anything, is I want to see one of your typical 5 to 10% pullbacks. You get, on average, 2 to 3 every year. That's when you want to wait to buy stocks. You know how they say time in the market beats timing in the market? That's lazy shit. Okay. You can wait and you'll get a 5 to 10% pullback. And what's cool about those numbers is, notice how it brings us back to the cloud. Let's see, where is the 50% of this leg up? Oh, that's a crash. So a 50% pullback would be a nice little crash. Yeah. Get us a 5% to the cloud here. Basically, I haven't even looked at the volume profile yet. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. A 5% pullback on the stocks would take us down to 6,400 ES. That's where you want to look for. Show that. That would be the criteria for the 5% and that support. So before I buy any stocks, I want the market to be there. And it should bring everything good down. So be taking your notes now on the things that we're looking at. Let me go through my list real quick. Tesla. Tim Waltz is very, very sad. I heard that he checked his phone to see it down, and he felt better. I wonder how he feels now. Damn it, I wasn't going to talk about politics. Well, he's an example of why you don't mix politics and investing. There you go. See? Not good. Not good. Not worth it. Doesn't make you any money. Whirlpool, we talked about that. It's back to break even. It's fine. Hershey's. Hey, you there, Cocos? You remember when you were saying like, oh no, Hershey's has come back down? Well, now it's back up. So that can happen again too. Hershey's been a great one this year. Dollar General, still actually the best winner, maybe a little less of the best winner this year. All off volume profiles. SRPT Pharmaceuticals, I'm still holding this dog. I don't like it at all. Intel is good. Agilent, this was a trade back from July. Doing pretty good. Copart, I don't like it. Now, I talked about this trade. This was off the 50%, which is come back to tested again. Now, there were multiple levels of support. There was the 50%, but then there was also the volume profile level at 44.53, which it may be testing. So I'm giving a little bit of play here. Don't want to go further, but we will see what happens with this. We will see. It's basically at the level right now. Copart is a buy, and we'll see what happens. Humana, I am being patient because Humana I want to be in, but I felt like I missed it when it was coming down here. Hey, look at that. Pre-earnings false breakout to the downside, triggering. Guys, just lock this in your brain, dude. This is better than any course that you can buy. Just go and look for these breakouts, these false breakouts. Oh, this is if you could just do this one thing, it's the false breakouts triggering runs, because think about it, it's emotion. Remember, it's that really quick flip of emotion. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's going one way. Oh, it's going the other way." That's what triggers big rallies. So, but I want more humanity. I'm being patient. LLY, Eli Lilly, it's good buy at 640. That's holding. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. I wanted to come a little deeper to 593, but man, Eli Lilly just prints money. Jeez, like before it even it just no, it's just look. I did one of my my live streams I did a couple weeks ago was about what I want to own for the next 10, 20 years. Healthcare. The boomers getting old, they want to stay alive, and they got a lot of money to do that. And of course, UNH. It's just going to be good. It's going to be good. And there's a whole list of other medical equipment companies. I really want us to have like at least one big stock market turnover and then really allocate into it. Now, of course, I'm talking my book because I'm sitting on, cash to buy it up. But that's what I want right now. I want to have cash. I want stock market to go down. So, but you know what? It could just keep grinding up. I think that's the biggest risk. The lowest probability, which still could happen because I'm saying it, is that we get some kind of giant yeet to the end of the year. And I don't think so. I don't think you're going to get another rate cut. I don't think there's going to be anything that people are going to be bullish about. I still want to talk about real estate. We're getting let's go through your symbols real quick. Get them in. All right, Bank of America. I mean, looks good. I mean, you cleared that high with a green, not quite a big dildo, but a pretty reasonable size green dildo. Now you're shooting for this one up here. So Bank of America's good. Disney. Doing all right. I mean, nothing to write home about, but it's not really scaring me. It's a kind of hodl. Berkshire. I think they're going to be okay. I think Warren Buffett's sort of semi-retired now. I don't know. I mean, they bought a bunch of United Healthcare when it was at a bottom. So clearly they're still doing smart things. So, yeah. Don't really have a technical opinion because I see this as more of an ETF. And I don't really find that using technicals like volume profile or 50% on ETFs are as effective because there's such a conglomeration of lots of things that the individual patterns I don't think can really materialize in a useful way. That's my excuse. It did an Ichimoku thing. Yeah, it's coming into the cloud here. But what I really want to see when it does an Ichimoku thing is I want to see that cloud also match up with a 50% to really kind of back it up. That's really the ideal situation. And so it's a little off from that. That's down to 82.15. All right. Let's look at NVAX. Oop. Okay. NVAX, Novavax. Is this in the healthcare line of thinking? I would want this to get on the bullish side of the cloud, perhaps later into this year, up around in 12, and then I might consider NVAX. I want to get like you had it. See, the problem is back in June of this year, you had it come out of the cloud, but what did you not have? You didn't have momentum get out. And so you didn't get full bullish. But this has been so depressed so long that I like the concept for breakout to the upside. I just want those criteria like I would anything else, the Ichimoku to be correct. Then you can get a breakout on NVAX. SMCI. It's going to be hard to get me to like tech. This is a weekly again. Just kind of hanging out again. I would look for it to be another bullish breakout, but it's kind of messy. I don't know. I'm just not big into tech right now. I'm holding Intel. I'm holding NVIDIA. I'm not really feeling like adding to tech. I know I try not to do fundamentals, but I just had enough. Like it's just it's such a they've been such winners for so long, and they could continue to win. But I just think it's best to trim that off and look for opportunity. Keep some, but it's time to trim. Hashtag not financial advice. MicroStrategy. I think I talked about this earlier. Like, look, if you ask me on MicroStrategy, I'm going to talk my book. My long-term target on MicroStrategy is 0. So that is going to influence all of my thinking. And it just so happens that the technicals are in alignment with my thinking right now. Sustained confirmed bearish trend on the daily. Weekly, we need a little bit more, but we'll see. It's all predicated on Bitcoin right now. And Bitcoin is not doing bully things. And so this stock, which is based upon Bitcoin, is likewise not being bully. So open door. Ooh, look at that yeet. I hope you're already in it, because at this point you could not put hot pokers under my fingernails to make me buy something to eat. If you are, then your 50% level, your target level would be about 13.18. If you had to buy it, let's back up a little bit. If you had to buy it in hindsight, but just to kind of confirm, you probably should have waited until you got like a 50% level. Wasn't quite consistent there at 275, but you at least need to wait until 570 now. And then you could potentially play it up to the 13.18. So that would be the only thing that I would give my blessing to. But it's hard. I can't get into something that's already eating. I have to buy things when they're dead. That's just me. But if I was going to buy a pullback, it would be at 5.7. DJT, Donald J. Trump stuff. I mean, it's a meme stock. I mean, you own it to say that you own it. I don't think it's going to do much. Bought open at 180 and got out today. Hey, good job. Good job. Could have held till 13 though, but good for you. 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 All right. Yeah, I got the link. All right. UBI. Ubisoft. Entertainment. I can't say I play any of their games, but on the daily, you got a breakout that's starting to set up. You just need it to get over 10. Yeah. A breakout is setting up. It might trigger when you get momentum on the other side of the cloud. That's either going to happen with time or with a little bit up. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. Let's see. All right. Well, let's read a little bit of conspiracy theory stuff to kind of close out. Oh, GME. GME back in the news. Is it doing anything fun? Yeah, it's kind of doing a thing. It's doing another thing to give. They're getting a little bit of hopium here, a little hopium rally. Okay, what are we gonna do here? Well, are we gonna bring down Wall Street again? Okay. Let's see. Where's the conspiracy theory? Let me bring this up. Hang on. Okay. Thank you for the AI stuff earlier today. So Russia is warning. Oh, wait. The Gold Telegraph. Gee, I wonder what their bias is. Russia is warning that the United States will leverage stablecoins backed by treasuries to offload 35 trillion debt. I thought this was about Bitcoin. Stablecoins and Bitcoin are not the same thing. Stablecoins are basically quickly replacing Bitcoin because, believe it or not, people that actually have money prefer to keep their money at the same value rather than put it on gambling and hope that it YOLOs them. All right. So pushing global adoption of stablecoins, not Bitcoin, then devaluing the dollar, leaving the world holding the bag. I explained this genius act weeks ago. I mean, I both trust Russia and don't trust them. What do I mean by that? I both think that they would be ones that would call attention to things just to piss off America because they're an adversary. But then again, it's also Russia, and so they're probably doing propaganda. It is propaganda basically. I don't know where I can make from that. Putin's advisor, the U.S. has devised a crypto scheme to erase its massive debt at the world's expense. The U.S. is trying to rewrite the rules of gold and cryptocurrency markets. Washington actions. Sorry. As in the 1930s and 70s, U.S. plans solve expense fund by pushing everyone into the crypto cloud. Over time, once part of the U.S. national debt is placed in stablecoins, Washington will devalue that debt. Put simply, they have 35 trillion currency debt. They'll move it into the crypto cloud, devalue it, and start from scratch. That's the reality for those who are so enthusiastic about crypto. Yeah, but you know what? This is something I've said for as long as people have been talking about it. Talking about, government, debt, crypto. All the Bitcoin bros think that the government is going to pick their coin and do this with them. And that's what they're all trying to front run. They're like, oh, they're going to pick Bitcoin. The government's going to buy Bitcoin, solve all the problems. I'm like, well, why are they going to pick Bitcoin? Because it's good. It's a steady supply, and I own a lot of it. Well, why would they pick something that they don't control? Well, because they can't devalue it. It's Bitcoin. Exactly. Like, countries really like devaluing and playing with their debt, playing with their currency through inflation, deflation, debt, quantitative easing. They like playing games. So you're saying they're going to switch to Bitcoin. Why? So, well, they can't do those games with Bitcoin anymore. Why would they do that? Why would they give up their power? Well, because it's better, of course. No, not of course. They're going to just create USD T. No, that'd be Tether. They're going to create something. They're going to call it green coin or something, greenback coin. And then they're going to force everybody into it. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to make it the new legal tender. They're going to give people, look at what they did in India a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, you had all this cash that people literally had in bales. They would have these huge, giant, like twined bales of money they would keep in their attics, and then they had to keep rats from eating them, basically. And then half of the value, like if you did a land transaction in India, half of it you would report to the government. That would be the government reported price. But the real price was that plus black money. And black money was cash. And that was how all economics were done. All big purchases of everything were done in India. Well, the Indian government said, we're not doing that anymore. They basically rendered all of the old currency not legal tender, and you had a grace period to come and bring your bales of money and tell them how you got it, and they would give you the new money. And then everything went off. Now, did anyone rebel? Did anyone refuse? Was there any problems at all? No. Everything went smoothly, and they got rid of all the black money. Well, I'm sure they didn't get rid of all of it, but they basically did a whole currency flip over to get rid of all the excess black money in their economy. And there was no revolt. There was no problem. No one stood up against them. You know why? Because people care about preserving the wealth they have. They don't care about, and they care about not going to jail, and they care about not losing everything. And so what's going to happen And this has nothing like, yeah, this is entirely possible that this could happen. But it's not going to be a cryptocurrency that's controlled by no one or um, a conglomerate or a corporation that the Fed, that the U.S. government doesn't have total control over. Why would they give up power? Who does that unless they're forced? And a bunch of nerds arguing on telegrams don't have an army to make them do that. So it has never been a plausible option for me that things are going to go that way. What's going to be more likely to happen is the Fed says, okay, we screwed up the dollar. We're going to make a new one, and everybody's going to have to switch over to it. And that's going to be that. And everybody, all the boomers that can't figure out how to work their cell phone are going to go into their brick and mortar bank, and some nice person is going to help them go through this whole process way faster than you're going to be able to figure out how to make them a cold wallet, a Trezor key, and everything like that to secure their Bitcoins. Just not going to happen, guys. So, or everything's fine. Everything just grinds up higher. So, exactly. It will be a CBDC that they control. They're not just, it goes back to this whole VHS Betamax thing where, you have several instances in history where you had objectively better technology. Like, I'm sure there's lots of people that would say that Linux is better for an operating system, but I don't want to install Linux. I don't want to type in a command line. I'm lazy. I need pictures and to point at. Okay. So I use Windows. People that want something even easier use Apple, and that's who makes the money. That's what consumers go for. Go. The thing's always been the same. Go talk to your uncle, your dad, your mom, even your grandparents, and ask them like, hey, do you know about this Bitcoin thing? Hey, can I show you how to set up a wallet? Just see how interested they are. That's the economy. Anyway. All right. Well, that does it for this week. Hashtag not financial advice, but market's at a good little all-time high. I like it to see what can happen in the future. And yeah, always have some dry powder for opportunities. That's a good thing. But don't do something just because I did. But that's the update. We'll see. We'll see if something happens this week. Like I said, if we get a false breakout to the high, like I've talked about all live stream, I got to start trading again. I got to get back into trading. But until then, I'm going to go back to gaming. So have a good week. And Trey Bosley. See you guys later. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. Hang on. One more. BKKT. I don't want to leave something out. Just check chat. BKK Backed Holdings. Okay, Backed is crypto. If I understand that correctly, that is part of the ICE, Intercontinental Exchange. You full ported it at 10. Okay. Well, you're doing pretty good. Ernie. Be smart. Be smart. Remember, and this is just kind of what I was saying earlier. You're almost 3 years into this bull cycle of crypto. How much more are you going to get? New CEO? Well, hopefully he's a good gambler. All right. See you guys later.